Okay, good afternoon. This is our Form 4 Tuesday groups. This is second lesson, correct? Not this is the second lesson. Second time we meet here. Okay. So last week we did lesson 1. So the lesson 1 is on introduction of physics. After that, we did physical quantity, base quantity, derived quantity, so much, right? And also after that, we did vector quantity, scalar quantity, got so many things. Now, you all still remember or not? I hope you all still remember what you have learned last week. So you need to read the paper through a few times, understand? You got the paper printed out, you got the answer already. You all must read it through a few times, okay? So for tonight, I will start the second unit. Second unit, which is very long, a lot of things to learn one. Okay, so we call it scientific investigation. I hope you all have the paper in front of you. Okay, so I start sharing the paper with you. By the way, can you all hear me or not? Can you all hear me, everyone?
Yes.
Can I?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now you see, this is a title we are going to learn tonight. There's long topic, long way to go. Lesson 2 of chapter 1, scientific investigation. Okay, scientific investigation means related to experiment. Okay, we do a lot of experiment, how to do experiment, how to write experiment report, this kind of thing lah. How to plot graph, how to analyze the graph. All these are involving experiment. So we put it under scientific investigation. Okay, experiment now. You know why this is important or not? Because in your SPM from SPM exam format, right? There's one paper paper 3, special for experiment only. One paper, all experiment none. Okay. So the foundations of to answer paper 3 experiment paper 就是这个啦 scientific investigation. Understand? Okay, come. What is the meanings of scientific investigation? You can see here. When I tell you to highlight, so you highlight on your paper. Understand? Highlight. When physicists, those who study physics observe particular physical phenomenon, they will question how or why it happened. Okay, this is an introduction now. So what happened is when you see something happen, when you see in the sky, there's a rainbow, right? Rainbow, you see 7 color, very beautiful. So the first thing you go inside your brain is you will ask why? Why in the sky there is a rainbow? Why? Okay. So scientists normally now when they have this question in their mind, they have to do something to prove it when, scientists usually is like that. Okay, now you see what? A hypothesis will be put forth. Hypothesis means when you see something very beautiful in the sky, okay, you will make some hypothesis. So maybe you say like this lah. The rainbow form every time after rain. This is hypothesis you put inside your brain. Your question mark. Okay. So we call hypothesis will put forth an experiment or scientific investigation will be carried out to prove your hypothesis. Meaning that hypothesis, when you see something very strange, very interesting, you will make some question, a lot of question to ask, then you put it inside your brain. Okay, to answer the question, to find the answer for the question, right, you will need to do experiment. Why do experiment? Because you want to find the proof. To find the proof, what is the reason this thing can happen? So that is called hypothesis put forth an experiment or scientific investigation will be carried out to prove your hypothesis. Understand? Okay. Okay. The rest is I leave it. Okay. Now in your syllabus, Our first experiment is this one. This is our first experiment. First experiment, you are going to do this one. Okay? Pendulum experiment. Pendulum 那个摇摆那个钟啊。Pendulum experiment. Okay? In this experiment, you have this pendulum bob. You have the thread length 它的长度。Then you make this thing swing left, right, left, right, oscillate, left, right. Then after that, you make the thread shorter. Then you see what happens. You like it swing, right? Shorter, shorter. You are controlling the length. Then you see what happened to the time taken to make oscillation. Okay. So when you see this diagram, scientists will ask a question, Scientists normally will ask a question one. Scientists will say, what happened to the oscillation when the thread is short? What happened to the oscillation when the thread is long? They will ask these two questions straight away. They ask, in your opinion, what happened when the thread is short? What happened when the thread is long? What happened? In your opinion, Tiam Sun, in your opinion, when the thread is short, what happened? When the thread is long, what happened?
When the thread is short, when the thread is short, the oscillation decrease. So when the thread is long, the oscillation increase.
Yeah, increase in terms of what?
No?
You say the oscillation increase in terms of what? In terms of the speed, in terms of the time taken, or what?
The time it's oscillate.
Yes, correct. It's a time taken. We call it period. Okay. Common sense tells us when the thread is long, it will take longer time to make one swing. Correct not? 那个绳子长它一定拿长时间。Okay. So meaning that the thread is long, the periods of oscillation will be longer time. To make one complete oscillation, I think longer time. When the thread is short, 很短 you will notice it will take shorter time to oscillate 比较快 okay. That is a scientist. Scientist will think like that. Okay. After that, the scientist needs to carry out experiment to prove what he says is correct. So you must do the experiment. Okay. After that, you need to by just doing experiment is not good enough. You must present your report. When you do the experiment, you have to present your report. Then only people will believe, right? Okay. So to write the experiment report, right? Okay. First thing is inference. You have to write inference. Highlight words inference. 第一个你要写的就是 inference. Okay. Inference is what? Highlight 是 early assessment. Early assessment. When you look at the diagram, your early conclusion is what? 最初的结论是什么？ Inference, early assessment, carry out to answer the question. Okay. Okay. Inference, to write the inference, we have a format one, cannot simply write one. So must follow a format. There's certain words we have to use one to write inference. So you see, and now first time I give you the answer okay, I see like that. To write the inference, you need to write this way. Periods of oscillation depends on the length of the thread. So the keyword here is depends on. Depends on. Periods of oscillation depends on the length. Okay, that's a way to write the inference. Periods of oscillation depends on the length of the thread. Just now we say, when the length is long, take longer period. When the length is the thread is short, it will take shorter time. Correct not? So all these we say periods of oscillation is depends on the length of the thread. So this is inference. Inference compulsory use depends on what depends on what you must write. Okay, so in this case is periods of oscillation depends on the length of the thread. Okay, periods of oscillation depends on the length. In Mandarin we say 它拿的时间去 oscillate 对不对？是有赖于那个线的长度。So periods of oscillation depends on the length of the thread. Okay. In this case, you must know, period of oscillation is responding variable, RV, responding variable. Okay. Whereas the length of the thread is manipulated variable, MV, manipulated variable. 那下面就有了哈，你都你see了。So responding variable depends on the manipulated variable. Okay. RV depends on the MV. Okay. Yeah. So first one, inference, remember the keyword, depends on. Okay. The second one is hypothesis. What is hypothesis? Highlight. Hypothesis is a general statement about the relationship between the manipulated variable MV and the responding variable RV. So hypothesis means is a statement explain the relationship between MV and RV. Okay. Example for this experiment, right? Our hypothesis, we have to write like this, our hypothesis here, you see, the greater the length, the greater the periods of oscillation. This is the hypothesis. 绳子越长，它拿的时间就是越长，去 oscillate 一个圈。Common sense, right? The greater the length, the greater the periods of oscillation. You might put a symbol also. 那个 symbol 要放下去啊。The greater the length, length is L. The greater the periods of oscillation, put T. 时间是用 T 的 period. Okay? You understand the hypothesis or not? Can understand how to write the hypothesis? The meaning of hypothesis 这边就是说，他讲它的关系咯，两个东西的关系。Okay? So the relationship is what? The greater the length, 绳子越长 then the greater the periods of oscillation， 就是说它拿的时间做一个 oscillation 就越长，越慢长啊。The greater the length, the greater the periods of oscillation. So remember this is the pattern you write hypothesis. You write the bigger this one, the smaller that one, the smaller this one, the larger that one. That is the way to write hypothesis. Then inference, different now. Inference, I use the word depends on. What depends on what? Periods of oscillation depends on the length. Then hypothesis 不一样了。Hypothesis you say the greater the length, the greater the periods of oscillation. Okay? All right. So 两个了Inference, hypothesis. Okay, the third one is manipulated variable for this kind of thing variable Okay. Manipulated variable. Okay, manipulate means is you control. The one you control in the experiment you call manipulated. So quantity whose value we deliberately choose to change the primary variable mean you control one So manipulated variable is MV. So in the case of that experiment, 就是 length of the thread. So you control the length, right? 10 cm 20 cm 30 cm 40 cm, you control the length. That's why you say manipulated variable MV is length. So remember manipulated is something you control in this experiment. Okay, what about responding variable, RV? If manipulated is length, then responding variable is what? In that particular experiment, The one we control is the length of the thread. Then responding is what? 这个你看这个 experiment. We are manipulating 这个 thread 的长
The
度。
time taken of the oscillation of the pendulum.
Yes, correct, very good. Manipulating the length, 你控制这个线的长度 ，maybe you start with 30 cm， 过后就加长变 40, 50, 60, 70， 越来越长，对吗？ Then 你就拿它的时间啦 ，the periods of oscillation, okay? So responding variable is periods of oscillation is period, okay? Now you see here, periods of oscillation, okay? Time taken for one oscillation, periods of oscillation. So it's very important, you all must know. Manipulated variable is length, responding variable 做出反应的就是 periods of oscillation, capital T. Okay, now I want to ask you, how to count one oscillation 呢？ One oscillation 是怎样算的呢？你看这边那 explain to you now. One oscillation is you count like this one, Okay, you start from here. You see my cursor here, So when you let go the pendulum, it will swing to the right, swing, go to the right. Then after that, come back. That one is one oscillation. One oscillation means you start from here. Okay, 记住我再讲一次Start from here, swing to the right. That's not one yet, no. Then after that, must come back. Like that. Then only consider one oscillation. From here, go to right, and then come back again. Then only consider one oscillation. If two oscillation is like this. Okay, 看两个 oscillation 是这样子算的。Go, come back. Okay, one. Go again, come back. Two, like that. Okay, so 一个是这样。Go, come back, one oscillation. Go again, come back, two oscillation. So one oscillation, two oscillation, two, three oscillations. Understand? You understand how to count the oscillation or not? So you look at the pen here. The pen here. I hope you can see that. So when this one swing, go to right hand side. You all cannot see that. In your mind, yeah. Okay, so that will be the responding variable. Okay, next one is fixed variable or constant variable. Fixed variable or constant variable 就是固定性的，不可以换的。Okay, in this experiment what should be fixed all the time must be fixed 不可以换的东西这个东西不可以换的，要固定的。Is first one is gravitational acceleration, gravity. Fixed variable, normally we put CV constant variable, constant variable. Gravitational acceleration 就是地心吸力那个会影响的。所要固定的就是 gravitational acceleration meaning that you must do the experiment at the same position. Same position means the gravity will become the same. It won't become different one. You cannot do one time at here, another time you go to the toilet and do. Third one you go to the mountain and do. No, cannot, because the gravity all different. It will affect the answer. So remember the fixed variable, constant variable must be the gravitational acceleration, gravity. As long as you do at the same position, the gravity will become the same. Okay, another one must be fixed is amplitude of oscillation. The amplitude 就是它所 oscillate 的角度。Okay, you see here. How big this angle? 这个角度有多大？那个是叫 amplitude. Amplitude So the angle of oscillation or amplitude must be also fixed. 说这个角度，每次你放那个pendulum摇摆的时候 ，make sure this angle must be the same. Cannot sometimes angle small, sometimes the angle big, cannot, the answer become different. Okay, so remember now, first one, gravitational acceleration, gravity must be fixed. The second one is the amplitude must be fixed. Okay, any more things that you need, can you tell me need to be fixed? Beside gravity, beside the amplitude, 还有什么东西你们觉得应该是 fixed 的？
The mass of pendulum.
Yeah, I know this boy give very good answer. Most people think the mass will affect the period. Actually, no. I know many of you think like that. Many books even the books also say mass actually is wrong, not correct one. Mass is not affecting the period one, because when you go higher level, 你学高了一点，对吗？你那个 formula 呢，你see periods of oscillation T the formula for this system, right, is 2 pi. Pi, you know what is that Square root L 就是 length over gravity. So when you look at this formula, 当我们看这个 formula 的时候will affect the period 会影响那个 period 的，对不对？只有这两个罢了 ，length 它的长度，还有 gravity G。Pi no effect pi because it's a constant 固定数来的，不会影响的。So 只有这两样东西会影响它的 period oscillation。你看mass 没有在里面。Okay, so meaning that that one will affect the period oscillation， 就是这个绳子的长度 length， 还有刚才我们讲的 gravity。Okay, gravity so remember mass not inside the formula. This formula is proven correct one. So this is the formula to calculate the periods of oscillation of pendulum T equal to 2 pi square root length over gravity. Okay, so remember 只有这两样东西会影响这个 period 的 answer， 就是 length 绳子的长度，还有 gravity 你在哪里做那个东西的 gravity 有多大。mass 没有不过我觉得很多书也是写 mass 其实是如果我们 go higher level we say the mass actually is not affecting. Mass is wrong one, okay, yeah, maybe your school teacher also will say mass, actually is not correct one, you believe what I say okay, is length gravity.
Okay.
I only use a formula to explain. You see the formula, inside the formula there's no mass there, no mass, only length and gravity. So these two things will affect the period. Okay, understand Okay, then M fixed variable setter variable there are three. 变数有三个，对不对 ？Variable, manipulated, responding, and then fixed variable. And then M you must write one. When you do any experiment also, you must have the aim 你一定要有目标，你的目标是什么 ？Then you see here 咯，这个不用看你直接看怎样写aim 是这样子写的keyword is what? To investigate the relationship between the length and the period. Keyword is to investigate the relationship. aim 是这样子写的To investigate the relationship between the length L and the period T. aim so far how many you learned already? Inference, hypothesis, then manipulated variable, responding variable, fixed or constant variable. After that, M. M after M is apparatus 你用什么 apparatus 全部要 list 出来 apparatus so in this experiment apparatus is pendulum bob 就是 this ball 这粒球就是 pendulum bob okay thread 绳子 okay meter rule why you need meter rule 怎么需要扯呢扯哪一个嘛 Why you need the meter rule?
To measure the length.
Yes, correct. To measure the length of the thread, you need to change 100 cm, 80 cm, 70 cm. Every time you change, you need the ruler, right? Stopwatch. Stopwatch for what? Huh? Stopwatch
Measure the time taken.
Yes, to measure the time, right? You need to know the time for one oscillation, right? And retort stand, I know lah. Retort stand is to tie this thing here lah, huh? So all these apparatus you have to list out correctly in your experiment report. 在你的 experiment report 一定要写的啊 ，OK？ after that, after apparatus is procedure. Procedure 就是它的过程啦，你要写出来它的过程。But here, I don't ask you to write first line. You just need to know what's supposed to be in the procedure. So there are three important things. First one, state the methods of controlling manipulated variable. You must describe how you control the manipulated variable. In this case, it's the length of the thread, how you control it. You say using a ruler, measure a thread of 70 cm, like that, no? Use a ruler to measure the thread, right? So method of controlling manipulated. The second step is methods of measuring the responding variable. OK， 第一个就是解释如何控制那个 manipulated variable. Second thing is how you measure the responding variable. 你怎样去量那个 responding variable? Okay, in this experiment, very simple law. Just take a stopwatch to measure the time, correct not? But can you measure time for one oscillation? Measure, can or not use a stopwatch 量得到吗? One oscillation, can you able to measure it? Can or not? Celestine, can you come up please? 可以出来吗?
Yes.
Celestina, I ask you, you are using a stopwatch. Can you measure time for one oscillation? 量得到吗? One oscillation.
Yes.
怎样 how you measure 呢? One oscillation 哦. You very fast 哦，这么快啊，摇摆哦，这么快你怎样量？啊？Actually, you are not encouraged to measure the periods of only one oscillation. No, 很难的，你知道吗 ？Because one oscillation 很快的，你知道吗 ？Left, right, left, right 这样子啊。One oscillation 很难量得到的，你要 stopwatch. Okay, so normally what we do, okay, you all listen carefully, we measure the periods for 10 oscillation. 通常我们是算10个 oscillation 的时间，然后才拿来除10的，这样子会比较准的，你知道吗？10 oscillation 比较长嘛，所以比较容易量得到它的时间，然后你拿到那时间来除10就可以了咯 ，right? Okay, 10 oscillation so you have to count like this. You see how I count, when you swing, right? Swing, go to right, then come back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then only you stop the stopwatch. 10 oscillation. Understand? Then after you have the time already, you divide 10. Then you get the accurate answer lah. Okay, understand? So normally we count 10. Sometimes teacher will ask you to take the time for 20 oscillation. More accurate lah, like that. Okay, so methods of controlling manipulated variable, method of measuring the responding variable, and then the last one is repetition. 你一定要讲如何重复你的实验 repetition of the experiment. So procedure basically 重要的是有3个啦。How to control manipulated variable. Second, how to measure the responding variable. Third is how to repeat the experiment. Okay, right. Normally how you repeat 就是这样咯。你用不同长度的线来重复那么就叫 repetition 了。First round maybe you take 30 cm. First round 你拿这个绳子只有30 cm 罢了，你给它顺拿时间，这样全部做了。Then after that 你就加长那边50 cm 那么那个就算 repetition 了，重复了。Okay, 30 cm, 50 cm, 60 cm, 70 cm, getting longer and longer 啦。It's called repetition， 知道吗？用不同长度的线来做，那个叫做 repetition。你 repeat 那个 experiment。Okay, understand or not?
Yes.
And you
Yes.
understand? Tiam Sun understand Tiam Sun.
Yes.
Are you the brother of Tiam?
I-
Are you from Gajah?
Yes.
Yes, Eng Tiam Ti, Eng Tiam Ti.
Yeah. Tiam Ti. I remember him already. Tiam Ti. You are the brother, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Nice to meet
They
you.
they went your tuition before. He
Yeah
went
lah,
your
no.
tuition before.
Yes, he went two years. He followed Form 4, Form 5, 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Tiam Ti. Very small, very short, right? Cute boy. Tiam Ti. With all his friends, all his friends come together one. Okay. But last time no COVID lah, so every time tuition in the tuition center. Now tuition you see cannot all online, cannot go to the center, so cannot see your face. Very hard to teach, using computer to teach you all very hard to teach. Okay, all right now. Okay, one more thing here I want to tell you in the procedure, right? Measuring the periods of oscillation, right? Okay. Actually, just now I said start with 30 cm. You measure 30 cm swing, right? You cannot do one time, Meaning that you measure 30 cm, okay, you let it swing. Swing. You take the time already. Then you have to repeat the 30 cm for one more time. Repeat the same 30 cm. Swing. You take the time again. Like that one, then only you calculate the average. Okay? So 每一个那个线的长度30 cm 你要做2次，找它的平均时间。2 times, at least 2 times 30 cm 要做2次，and 40 cm 也是要做2次，50 cm 也是要做2次，所以很麻烦的哦。Hey, understand or not? Why we need to do 2 times for each one? 30 cm must do 2 times. 40 cm must also do 2 times. 50 cm 2 times. Why? 为什么要这样子做呢？为什么每一个线长度都要做2次以上，然后找它的平均的 ？Why？
一次不准。
Very good。不准，你要做2次算平均才会更准。OK， so 就是要浪费一点时间去做多一次咯。OK all right. So remember what I say, 我讲这种东西考试会出的哦。你们不要当老师唱歌，你知道吗？对all right, next. Next one is of course very important You need to record the data， 要记录那个资料。Okay, tabulation of data 就是说把所有的资料记录在一个图表。Tabulation of data. Okay, tabulation of data 有 format 的，不是乱做的Your table, right? It must be on the left side, must be manipulated variable. Manipulated must on the left side. And right side, put responding variable. 肯定的，不可以倒反的，你倒反就错了。So here, length manipulated variable 你写 length 那个 thread 的长度 length L/cm 它的单位还要写出来的 symbol must write length is L/cm then 你写咯 start with 40 cm 50 60 70 80越来越长对吗那个绳子对呀全部写出来 I'm responding variable 就是 period capital T/second 啊这边你做了 experiment 找了答案啊写下来全部写下来知道吗 So this is called tabulations of data okay tabulate yeah understand after you have the table already 当你已经有收集了所有的 data 放在 table 了 next step 一定是画 graph OK analyzing data 就是画 graph OK so you have to plot a graph to analyze the data OK so two graph 你看如果你 plot period against the length period against the length. You see, when you plot the graph, right, it is plot responding against the manipulated, meaning that 要讲这个先的嘛 here must be responding, then here must be manipulated. 一定要这样的哦 responding variable against manipulated variable， 就是说 responding variable 放在 y 那边 ，x 那边是 manipulated variable，OK？、And then 如果 if you plot t against the L, right, you get a curve, straight, then it curve like that. 你会拿到这样子的 graph 了。如果你做OK. If I put here t I go and square it. I use a calculator 去 square 它，对吗 ？square 就是说 calculator 按 square 啦，那答案出来，然后再 plot 一个 graph. Just now was t against L. Now I put t squared against L, so you will get a straight line graph. So remember, not this important. When you are using t period against an L, you get a curve. When you square it, you do more calculation now. Square the t against the length, you get a straight line. Okay. So both graph, I believe your school teacher will ask you to plot. 你要知道哦，如果你 plot t against L， 你拿到是 curve 的；如果你 square t square against L， 你就会拿到直线。OK，t square means 你在这边加多一个 column 啦 ，add one more column here t square。OK，t square means 你用计算机来按不了。So let's say here is 4. For example, 4 t square 16咯，16咯，背出来。Understand? If here is 5, right? Here 5 square becomes 25. Like that, you square it. Understand? Understand the meaning of t square? When you square it against the L, right? You get a straight line. 直线了。如果你用这个 against 这个，你拿到一个 curve. Okay? 帮间隙 understand? Hey, understand what I'm saying or not?
Yes, yes.
Then, Celestine, do you understand what I say?
Yes.
Then, where's your good friends? Christine, do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, So, analyzing data. Okay, the last one in your report. 你要学的就是 how to tabulate your data. As I said just now, cannot simply draw table. 不是随随便便做一个图表放号码下去就可以 No， 它有它的 rules 的嘛。你看how to tabulate data? Table must be neat and data arranged either row 这个 OK 了The names and the symbol of manipulated and responding variable must be written. 就是说 you must have the name, must have the symbol, must have the unit. 知道吗？3样东西一定要有的，它的名字，它的 symbol，还有它的单位。Time time is a name law, symbol is small t law, and then the unit is second. Okay, so all these must have lah. Now, actually you are not encouraged to give table like that. 这个其实是不鼓励做的。table 我们要做 vertical 的这样子的，不是这样的哦，不要为了省纸做这样的 no。Actually for scientific investigation 我们做那个 table 一定要 vertical 的这样子的，才 standard， 不是这样子的不好。Okay? Yeah, you see, you must have the name, volume. What happened, no? Hello, can you all still hear me?
Yes.
I don't know, my computer suddenly pop up, ask me to restart, but I ignore it, I continue lah, 它叫我 restart。忽然我去处理一下先因为它一直叫我 restart。
You restart first.
Restart, then you have to come in again, you all can
Can never mind.
you all wait for me I'll restart, then you all come in again
Sure.
Okay.